And if you look at the last 10 arrests made by the Department of Justice against dentists, 9 of them are for that.
Welcome to the Compliant AF podcast, where healthcare compliance isn't just a checklist, it's a competitive advantage.
I'm Amy Wood, CEO of Copperpenny Consulting, a cybersecurity and HIPAA compliance geek who thinks encryption is awesome.
And I'm Kara Kelley, CEO of Clinical HR, fractional HR business partner and HR nerd who is weirdly passionate about employment policy.
If you're a dental or healthcare leader who's tired of check-the-box compliance and wants to actually understand what the rules are and how to build a practice that doesn't live in fear of audits or lawsuits,
you are in the right place. We are digging into the stuff that keeps practice leaders up at night.
We'll break down the boring, call out the BS, and share real strategies with a little snark and a whole lot of caffeine.
This isn't legal advice. We are not your lawyers.
We are two consultants who have seen way too many practices get in trouble because no one explained the rules in a way that actually made sense or made them care.
But since this is a compliance podcast, the content in this podcast or any associated clips is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal, financial, medical, tax, or regulatory advice. We are not attorneys. Clinical HR LLC and Copperpenny Consulting LLC are not legal firms, and listening to this podcast does not create a client relationship. Always consult a qualified professional advisor for guidance specific to your situation.
So buckle up, because boring compliance just got compliant AF.
For the vast majority of dental offices in the country, at this point in time, getting audited isn't an if, it's a when. Because there is so much information out there now. You know, I was talking about all the messages I get every day from muggles, from non-dental people. I get just as many messages a day from people saying, I work at this office, I saw they were billing fraudulently, I brought it up to their attention, and they fired me. What do I do? And you know what I tell them to do? Here's the 1-800-FRAUD phone number for Delta. Call and report it.
Turn them in.
Because it's the only way it's going to stop, you know, and you don't have a choice because, you know, now we have the list of excluded individuals and entities that, you know, is the list of every person convicted or suspected of committing fraud against the government, Medicare, Medicaid, all these things. You get on that list, you're like stuck. You can't work in any dental office ever again.
Well, and also, by the way, if you do that in certain states, if that person is classified as a whistleblower, some states have whistleblower protections. If they brought it to your attention, even if they didn't necessarily file with a federal agency, but if they brought it to your attention and you let them go because of it, there may be some backlash there, maybe something. And for the most part, it's not likely worth, from the employee perspective, doing that, but you never know.
Right.
And it's something you should consider, that if you've got a team member who's saying, hey, I think we're doing this wrong, it's something worth investigating, and not just saying, well, they're just being difficult and they're just not interested in learning the way we do things here, and so I'm just going to let them go immediately. You may want to get professional advice before you make that decision.
Yeah. And that's the other thing you just said. This is the way we do it here. You know, we're right now going through a huge hiring spree. And, you know, one of the things, in order for us to hire you, you got to fill out an assessment. And there's a whole bunch of, how do you do this adjustment? How do you do this? And what do you submit with that? And, you know, all these different questions.
Testing people to make sure they know how to do what you're supposed to be doing.
And my management team has been like, nope, they got this one adjustment question wrong. Don't even interview them. And I try to tell them, here's the thing you have to remember, you know, the we've always done it this way mentality is dangerous in dentistry, because somebody did something one way 30 years ago and they taught somebody 20 years ago, who taught somebody 15 years ago, who taught somebody 12 years ago, who taught somebody 8 years ago. And they've just been doing it that wrong way, thinking it was the right way for the past 30 years. So we got to be able to train them a little bit on, no, this is the right way. Now you're either willing to accept the change or you're not. But it's not always we want to do it wrong. It's we've just always done it that way. And I'll tell you, when I'm on the phone with a potential client if I say, well, what if, I think if you do it this way, it would be more efficient. Or if we change this, we're not going to upload the EOB into the software. We're going to put it into a separate network share folder so it doesn't become part of the patient's legal record that you now have to keep and maintain and protect. We're going to keep it separate in a network share folder out of the PMS. Well, but we've always uploaded it into the doc center, but it's a bulk EOB. You realize the patient has the right legally under HIPAA to request a copy of that, everything in their doc center, right? Well, but not a bulk EOB. Yes, if it's in there.
With other patients' names in it.
Right. Now you have a breach. So, but we've always done it that way, but we don't do it that way. If they say twice, I've always done it that way. I say, you know what? Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. We're not a good fit for you. I wish you the best. Click.
Yeah. I think what people tend to forget in all of this is it's not just about the practice. It's really all of this boils down to it's about the patients and how we serve them and how we treat them and how we perform treatment on them. And everything that we all talk about with every aspect of safety, regulation, and compliance, it is literally to protect the patients. It does protect the practice too, but it's how we treat our patients. And if you're going to do shady stuff on insurance or employment or HIPAA or OSHA or infection control, any of these things, like that affects the practice and it affects the patients. And I get really, maybe it's the justice oriented part of me, but like, I think people suck when they do that. And I don't want to be around those people.
Right.
Wait,
Are you a Libra too?
I want to go back to what Rick just said, because this is not my area of expertise. So I end up with lots of questions because I'm genuinely curious now. If the EOB is supposed to be separate, what about all of these PMSs that are integrating AI and that's part of the whole process is that they do the verification and it goes into the patient file?
I mean, a verification is fine because it's just that one patient's verification.
Okay.
But when we're talking about, the insurance companies, they'll send one check that will be for $2,500 and it'll have 11 different patients' payments on that one check. That's a bulk EOB that has 11 patients' information on it.
Okay.
You scan all 11 patients' names and services they had done into the doc center, the images folder, the smart docs, the whatever. That's now a breach.
But so much of this is being done digitally now through, like, so through some of the PMSs or AI, or like that's the direction they're going with that. Is that something to be concerned about?
Yes.
I mean, I haven't seen an AI EOB posting program that puts the EOB into the software yet. Usually it'll be like on their web portal or somewhere like that. If they start putting it into the software, yes, that's going to be a problem. I would turn that feature off because I don't want to run that risk. Because the other thing, and people forget about this, web portal app access to dental records is coming. Medicare says it's supposed to be July 1st. If you're a Medicare participating office, as of July 1st, you're supposed to have web portal or app access for patients to access their records. I can do it through the Epic MyChart app now at my primary care physician and my doctors and my specialists and my blood lab. They're all on it. It's coming to dentistry. If you're a Medicare or Medicare Advantage provider, July 1st is the deadline.
And really, that's one of those things that you're not just going to do it for those patients. If you're doing it, you're doing it for everybody, presumably.
Right, exactly. And that's the problem, is now I'm giving patients access on a web portal to their doc center, but that doc center has an EOB in there that has 10 other patients' names on it.
Why are we not talking about this? I've not heard this conversation in a while. Sorry, maybe y'all are talking about this.
We've been talking about it for eons.
I've been talking about, because actually this is funny. This is one of those things that was signed during the first Trump presidency.
Yeah.
COVID happened, it got extended. Biden got in, he extended it, he extended it, he extended it, he extended it.
Okay, maybe
And
that's where I
now,
missed something, because I could have swore that there was a deadline for that like a couple of years ago. Okay.
yeah,
And this
and
is
it
not my area. I don't have to stay up on this. I don't do this. It's not HR.
right,
However,
yeah,
it's always interesting.
it
And I
just
usually see these conversations, and it's not what I'm seeing right now.
right. It got extended, it got extended, it got extended, and but here's the other thing in dentistry specifically, and I don't, myth that just won't die. Dentists think they're not physicians. We're not real doctors. We're dentists. Under the federal definition of physician, they changed it in 2020. This is the funny part. COVID happened March 17th, 2020. The world shut down. The ADA petitioned the federal government saying, we shouldn't have to shut down. We're medical providers, just like every other doctor is that gets to stay open. The federal government said, you know what, you're right. We'll change the definition of physician to specifically include dentists. Now it does. Now, all those laws that the federal government has made that say physician, guess what? Now they apply to you too, because you're not excluded because you're just a dentist. You're a physician now.
And only a dentist when it suits them. It's very frustrating because I'm sorry, this part of the body is still connected to the rest of the body.
It is.
You're still collecting types of information. You're still
you're still finding out about substance use disorder. You're still finding out about reproductive issues. And
substance use,
it's
some
funny
of them are
because
there's oral visible signs of substance abuse, and so they know that.
We call that meth mouth, but yes.
Yes.
Whether the patient reports it or not, sometimes they know that.
Right,
or the patient
exactly.
puts on a health history, hey, I use recreational marijuana. Yeah, even that counts. Or I'm on Suboxone because I'm an addict. And it's just, I wish dentistry would just wake up and realize that, and there are a lot of people that are. I don't want to discount any of that. There are so many that are fully accepting this and embracing this. But overall, we see a lot of people in dentistry that are still burying their head in the sand and saying, this doesn't apply to me. I'm just a dentist, or I don't want to do this. This is too much. And, the Navy SEALs have a couple of phrases that I really love. The first is, the only easy day was yesterday. That's absolutely true with everything we do. Obviously, just in this conversation, so many things have changed just in the last few years. And a lot of people didn't know about a lot of these. That's why we teach. That's why we do this podcast, is to raise awareness on this. And the other phrase I love is embrace the suck. And it does. And none of this is fun. We are the fun haters in our industry. But every aspect of this, we have to embrace it. It costs so much less in time and money to just embrace it than it does to try to fight it.
Just do it right the first time?
Yeah. If if at first you don't succeed, try doing it the way mom told you to the first time. Isn't that the phrase?
Yeah. I have had people come to my events with shirts on that say, if it doesn't work the first time, try doing what Rick told you.
I love it.
Love that.
And that's,
Rick has raving fans.
Oh yeah. But that's really what it is. That is really what it comes down to. Is it's easier to do it right than it is to do it again. Just do it right the first time. It's easier to do it right than it is to recover from the potential earthquake that could be getting caught doing it wrong. And now there's so much information out there, and there's so much Reddit and Facebook and social media and Instagram and this and that. It's going to take one angry ex-employee to turn you in because you fired them for something, maybe a valid reason, but they're still mad. And it's one phone call. And I really enjoy sleeping at night. I don't want to have to stress. Is today the day I'm going to fire somebody and they're going to turn me in? Is today the day insurance is going to walk in and audit me? Is today the day the FBI is going to break down my back door? I just want to be able to go home and go to bed and sleep for 3 or 4 hours and do it all over again.
3 or 4 hours. On that note, because we're talking about myths that just won't die, what is the biggest that you've seen myth that just won't die that results in the most audits, fines, penalties, things of that nature? Because you work in kind of a different area than both Amy and I do. We, I know, I'm sure, have our big numbers of things that can happen in our arenas. But what is something that you've seen is like the number one myth that just will not die, that is costing the practice the most money?
For me in the insurance side of things, the biggest one is not using the right provider on the claim form. They think I have a locum tenens, I'm out on maternity leave, I've got somebody filling in for me for 4 weeks. I just had a dentist message me yesterday that said, I'm only taking 3 weeks of maternity leave. Do I really have to get that temp doctor coming in for 3 weeks approved by the insurance companies under locum? Yes, you do. You absolutely do.
I sometimes talk about this with practice buyers. They just bought the practice, and it was one of the situations where the team wasn't told until right after it happened or just before.
Right.
And so nobody has started the credentialing process for this person. And so what do they do during the first 2-3 months? They bill under the cellar.
And if you look at the last 10 arrests made by the Department of Justice against dentists, 9 of them are for that.
What?
That's
For
crazy.
misrepresenting the provider on a claim form.
That's an arrestable offense?
It's fraud. It's each claim is 17 felony counts.
Oh, I didn't know that. Jeez.
No, neither did I.
Yeah.
What?
Think about it. How are you submitting the claim electronically? It's wire fraud. Where's the insurance company in a different state than you? It's interstate fraud. How do you get paid? Via check? It's postal fraud because the check came in the mail.
I was going to say, is there a way around that at all? But apparently not. Wow.
No, and that's the thing. I've seen attorneys who will put in the sell contract. Seller gives the buyer authority to utilize their NPI and tax ID for a period not to exceed 6 months. That's like me going to the bank and the teller writing me a permission note to rob the bank. It can't happen.
So what do they do?
You start credentialing early, or you're out of network for that 90 days that it takes to get credentialed. They're your 2 options.
Which they're afraid to do because they're afraid they're going to lose patients by having a new doctor come in, first of all. And then second, now the doctor doesn't take my insurance for the next 90 days.
Right. So they misrepresent on the claim form. And this, I last November, actually it was the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, I got a call from a dentist saying, I just got arrested on Monday. My attorney said I needed to find an expert witness. I need your help. And it was like 10 o'clock at night. I'm on the phone, Facebook Messenger audio call with this dentist in Ohio who got arrested on Monday because she's young. She's like 28 years old, had just bought a practice, was billing out under the old owner. She was a young, very nice, very sweet 28-year-old dentist. The seller was like a 75-year-old curmudgeon, grumpy old man. I don't know if you guys are young. You don't know the word curmudgeon. But
I know that word. I'm going to get off my lawn.
75-year-old grumpy old man. And the young dentist was billing out under the curmudgeon dentist seller. An 80-year-old woman came in, met the new dentist, loved her, got her EOB from the insurance company and called the insurance company and said, "You messed up. You paid the grumpy old dentist when he just sold the practice to a nice, young, cheerful, happy little girl dentist. You messed up, insurance company." She thought she was being nice because she thought the insurance company was paying the old guy. The insurance company said, "Thank you so much for calling and letting us know. We'll look into it." The state attorney general arrested her on Monday morning. Her attorney ended up telling her, "Just sell the practice. You will not be able to practice dentistry for at least 20 years.
God.
And young doctors probably still hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt.
Absolutely, if not millions.
Oh my God, that
And
makes me feel sick to my stomach.
yeah, and it's
So really,
because you're billing under the wrong thing.
how is this a myth that will not die? How is this something that is even still happening, that attorneys are writing it into contracts saying that you're going to get out of it? Like what we talked about with the other types of audits, this is probably going to be something that comes up more and more as AI gets more integrated into insurance companies. B, how is it criminal if it's something that's an insurance contract? Although I think you answered that earlier with the wire fraud and postal fraud and things like that. But then how do they just go out of network? How are they going to work around that? And how do we
Well,
get them to stop that? This
it's
is crazy.
it's criminal because in all 50 states,
Okay.
anytime you make any false statement on an insurance claim form, it's fraud, both federally and in all 50 states. That's like saying, I ran into another car, but I wasn't driving, you were. I just lied to an insurance company in order to get payment. That's insurance. That's the definition of fraud. Any false statement. So that's why it's criminal. Why does this keep happening? Kara, why when somebody asks an HR question in my Facebook group, do I tag you?
But there's a difference in somebody maybe gets a wrongful termination suit because they fired someone for talking about their pay, which, yes, is a federal, like they can't do that. And it's a myth that will not die. And they think they can write it into their handbook and get someone to sign it. But that doesn't usually result in 17 criminal charges and arrests.
Right.
I assume.
Well, but
I'm not seeing the results in that anyway.
It could result in civil penalties. It could result in the national labor. You violated. We've talked about that one before.
Oh yeah. No, it has repercussions, but they don't usually involve jail time, to my knowledge.
Because it's not a criminal offense, but it is a criminal offense to make a false statement on an insurance claim form to manipulate payment.
And that's what I mean. Like, even though I understand misinformation circulates through study clubs and social media,
Right.
and my friend told me this was okay. But when it results in that hefty jail time, would that not be something big enough that might get everyone's attention? That especially, like I said, when attorneys and brokers and whomever else are saying, "Oh, it's fine, everybody does it this way."
Here's the thing. Even attorneys have their specialty. You're not going to a criminal defense attorney to have them write the sales contract for your dental office. You're not going, like, I don't know, you guys know who Justin Withrow is.
Yeah.
The attorney. You're not going to Justin to write the sales contract for a dental office. That's not the type of law he does. Nobody should be asking me, Rick, can you write my employee handbook? Rick, can you come in and do my risk analysis for HIPAA? That's not me. That's you guys. We all have our area of specialty. And the problem is none of the attorneys that write the contract law ask Justin or an attorney like Justin, "Hey, what can we put in here?" I'm an attorney. I know what I'm doing. I wouldn't try to do a risk analysis anymore. I wouldn't try to write an employee handbook because everybody's so weird and different. And, I always tell people, get a professional to do your handbook because, like, in Pennsylvania, we have County Line Road.
Mm-hmm.
On one side of the county is Philadelphia County. On the other side of the road is Bucks County. They follow two different laws.
Yep, Philadelphia.
So,
And I ask that anytime I get a client calling me from Pennsylvania, are you in Philly proper or Pittsburgh proper? Because there are some different rules
right,
there.
right. But you literally could walk and County Line Road literally divides Philadelphia and Bucks County. It's the county line. There are jewelers on the whole way down the way. Jeweler across the street could walk across the street and say, "Hey, jeweler B, can I get a copy of your handbook? I just want to use it and make it mine." You're
Nope.
in different counties. You've just broken rules and you don't even know it.
Well, and they also get it from their friend who, somebody looked at it, it was fine, or they got it from the DSO they worked for. Okay, the DSO is multi-state and has hundreds or if not thousands of employees. Those rules may not apply
Right.
to you. They may just be putting something in that's standard across the board. Like you could be overcommitting yourself. The other side of it, where you're not in trouble for it, but you're overcommitting yourself to something that doesn't actually apply to you. And when you put it in your handbook, now all of a sudden it does. So whenever I hear
Right.
I got it from the seller, I got it from anybody, I worked on it, I had ChatGPT write it for me, whatever it is, I'm like, yeah, we need to take a look at that because you don't know what you don't know. AI only knows what you prompt it and it's only going to pull
Right.
things that you prompted. And I've seen AI get things disastrously wrong. It has got some very confident hallucinations there. It actually recently, I was trying to have AI write me a description for something about myself, and it pulled up some magical award that A, doesn't exist, and B, I've never won.
Hey,
On me.
that's great.
I know. I'm like, makes me sound amazing, and also this is so not accurate.
Can you also get I want to see that article about you winning that award, and you should also get AI to make you a picture holding the award.
Absolutely. I
I
should.
was gonna
But
say,
yeah, no,
can we make it real? Can we make that award?
yeah,
But I've even seen
yeah,
like Google has their AI and I'll run a Google search for something and I actually look at what the sources are and then I go read the actual source. I've seen it lately. It'll pull it up and it pulls it up to the very top. Oh yeah, this state says this. Well, no, what you're pulling is a 50-page or 50 states resource for all of the rules for all of the states. And it pulled that state name, but the thing it said applied to the state applied to a completely different one. And so, but
right,
people don't read past that. They just read what's convenient
right.
and take it as
And
truth. And I'm like,
that's the thing. Use it to help. Don't use it to guide you. I did a post in my group couple months ago about asking AI something. Now there is a code. There's a CDT code that is for making customization to a crown to fit under an existing partial. That's the definition of the code. Customizing a crown to fit under an existing partial. I asked AI, is there a code for doing a custom shade on a crown, which is a purely aesthetic thing? And it said, yes, use this code. This code is for doing custom crown adjustments. No, it's not. It's custom crown adjustments to fit under an existing partial. It's not the patient wants the Philadelphia Eagles logo on a tooth, or the patient wants a custom shade, or they want it made out of a specific metal. But AI told me use this code. This is the code for that because it's a custom crown. It's not. So you just have to be careful. You have to be careful about what you believe. Read the sources, like you said.
that takes time
And
and effort, Rick. We know we don't have time and effort nowadays.
it does. It does. But that's the way it works.
Oh my goodness. Well, this has been a very enlightening conversation. I'm sure we will have you back to continue with whatever else happens because we know very well that there's going to be changes in laws, changes in things. Maybe the July 1st thing gets kicked back. Who knows? We have a
Yeah,
Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals here in Texas that likes to kick things back and whatnot at the 11th hour. So you never know.
right. Yeah, no, it changes all the time. It has changed. I've been saying in my class, you have till July 1st, you have till January 1st for 6 years.
Yeah.
And nope, it changed again. Nope, it changed again. Nope, it got pushed. Never mind, it got, and they never push it and say like, we're going to just wait 4 years and let it be the next guy's problem. They push it 6 months and then 6 months and then 6 months and then 6 months. So we'll keep having this discussion until it actually happens. But there's so many softwares out there that do it already. There's no reason not to.
Yeah. It's hard for people to stay up on these things. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to create a podcast like this, because things are changing fast. And even when you brought up the thing about the notice of privacy practices being updated, and I have a wonderful slide in my presentations now. Thank you, Rick, on all the dumb things people have said in response to that. I surveyed it on all the different platforms, and I'm like, oh, where do I get a free template? But my general practice attorney said ...
Right, exactly.
What are they saying now? I want to know.
Well, now you're curious. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, basically it was about redirection, and it was about substance use disorders, and, you know, the really simple things, but they're protections for the practice, and it's all about covering your assets. That's all it is. And you thought I was going to say something else. It is the Compliant AF podcast after all. But I've been pretty good about my language thus far. But everybody got their panties in a twist about it. And I just said, embrace the suck. This is just one of those things. And it has not been updated since 2013. It needed to be updated. There were some things that have happened, some things that have changed, and it was about time. But people were saying all kinds of crazy stuff. They were sharing templates. There was one that I saw that was going around that had an ophthalmologist's name on it, and they just weren't updating the practice name. And it had to do with eye care. And I'm like, you're a dental practice. This is why customization is so important. And stop trying to do things like... Stop being stingy about it. This is one of those, hire an expert. Like, I just did it for my clients. It was done. I didn't even have to think about it. We updated everything. We told them, here's how you do it. Here's how you integrate it. Here's how it's in your workflow. Like, it was just done. And everybody else was stressing out about it. And I even had other consultants call me and other speakers. And, kind of back to that where you were talking about miseducation or misunderstanding, there is a thing that has happened in the dental industry over the last, couple decades, where people have started to hyper specialize in their field of expertise. You can really only truly be an expert in one or two things. There's just simply too much information and too much changing information to truly be an expert. And so, I don't touch OSHA or infection control. My business does. I have people on my team that are experts in their own right that do that. I don't do that. But I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. But there are a lot of people that are, what's the phrase? Jack of all trades, master of none. And so, Kara, you and I say this about ourselves all the time. A lot of people can be a mile wide, but only an inch deep in knowledge. But we tend to be hyper specialized in what we do. And we're more an inch wide, but a mile deep, so that practices and team members can actually know exactly what they're supposed to do in every possible scenario. And I think that's been another reason that our industry has had a lot of myths that just won't die. And it's scary, but to all the consultants out there that do listen to us, a lot of you are our friends. Specialize. Pick a lane, stick to it, be really, really freaking good at it. We love you anyway, but for dentists, go to as many classes as you can and find true experts that love doing what they're doing and live and breathe those topics.
And bring them into your practice on a personalized individual level. Because I know that's one of the myths that won't die that we talk about is online classes and the on-demand classes, and whether or not they're actually sufficient for compliance perspective, but also sufficient really just for making sure that you and your team know exactly what you should be doing.
Oh, did you just bring that up?
I'm sorry. That would be a mega episode, or we're going to cut it in two.
Yeah, we're going to, to be continued on part 2. We're going to jump the shark here, but that is outside of the insurance world. That is the thing that kills me the most. Is we did our HIPAA training online. Our medical waste disposal company sent us a video and now we're OSHA compliant and HIPAA compliant. No, you're not. The training has to be on your site specific plans, not some video some guy made in 1984 that stars Webster, the kid from Webster. What, like, that is
I'm old enough
not
to
an
know what you're talking
OSHA.
about.
Yeah. That is not an OSHA video you want to be watching to be compliant. Your training telling you if you get something in your eye, go to the eye wash station. Is it compliant? Your training telling you this is where the eye wash station is in our office and this is how you use that particular model is compliant.
Mhm.
There's a difference.
I also saw a new one yesterday that I was a little surprised at. I hadn't seen this in dentistry yet, maybe for CPR, but it was an employee who had posted asking where they could get OSHA training because their doctor told them that they weren't going to provide it, but that they had to have it and they needed to go get it themselves.
No. Just no. Stop that now. Absolutely freaking not. That cannot happen. If you require it, you have to provide it. And a lot of these federal laws require that you do it as a team.
That's what we call this mandated training.
Yeah.
Actually mandated.
Or
mandated 14 days, 30 days of hire and annually thereafter.
Well, mine, HIPAA is now expected to be before they touch any systems containing protected health information. So before that person touches a computer, they need to be trained on how your office does things because that's a dangerous team member. They come in with bad habits and expectations from the last place they worked at, and they're going to do all the stupid, dumb things and put your practice at risk and put your patients at risk. So, I mean, I understand the reason behind that, but everybody's busy and we've always done it that way. Most dangerous words for a business.
No.
We've always
and
done
here, I'll bring it back a little bit to HR. You ready now? That hygienist who's filling in for you for 1 week, who's not a 1099, who is a employee, has to do your team training on HIPAA before she touches your software.
And a doctor has to show up to the team training.
But what about the one that's there for 1 day? And I got them through a temp agency and the temp agency said I can 1099 them. And so I don't have to do any of that.
The way both OSHA and HIPAA are written, it says employee, volunteer, subcontractor, and there's one other
Intern.
I think student. Intern, student. Has to be done. It doesn't matter if they're there.
What if they're just there 1 day?
Too bad.
Too bad. Then they're going to spend 2 or 3 hours doing your HIPAA training.
Yeah. Now, something I do, I record every single one of my team trainings, even if I'm doing them virtually. And especially when I'm doing them virtually, that's when it's easiest. But they're all customized to that practice. I'm talking about what vendors they use and what risks and vulnerabilities there are and how the practice can offset them internally and what their particular emergency plan is and what their, what all of their stuff is specifically. And if someone can't show up, then that way they have that video of their site specific training and I require that they watch it within 30 days. And we have a whole process for that. And it's like, you have to do this or the practice is not in compliance. And you're on my list. And yes, you can bleep that out, Kara. But you're on my naughty list and you don't want to be on Amy's naughty list. I'm a nice person. I really am. I know I sound mean. I have that tone and tenor of my voice, but I am actually a good, kind, helpful, justice-oriented person. But if you're bad, my attitude completely depends on you.
And I like to ask this question from the practical perspective of, okay, we understand that's the way it's supposed to be done. How do practices manage that? How do they manage that when they've got somebody who called out last minute? They've got to get a temp in there. It's just for 1 day, fingers crossed, hopefully. What's the practical solution for that? They can't spend half the day in training for that person.
I mean, realistically, and Amy, I would love to hear your input. Realistically, I would have almost a guest login to the practice management software that has
For
like no
temps.
access to anything.
And that's been part of
Like,
the problem is most people have full administrator privileges on all their users, or they have one person log in all the operatories.
Or everyone's
And
using the same one.
the only
yes.
way they separate that is by putting in the chart initials and date and time. That's their only audit trail. Well, if there's a cyber incident, I can't prove squat at that point. I'm working on the honor system, and the honor system doesn't necessarily hold up in court. And if there's a class action lawsuit for something like this, patients get a little grumpy when their identity is stolen because a dental office was a little lax on their understanding of it's not just a dental x-ray that they have in their practice. It's all the other information they're collecting that is valuable to cyber criminals
Yeah.
and identity thieves. And I know this firsthand because I still experience it 16 years later. It's like, I'm going to use an old-timey reference for all you Gen X, Zennials like me, even elder millennials. That's what we'll call us.
I am not an elder millennial for the I'm like
I
right
am.
there in the middle of millennial.
I barely meet the cutoff. You're just young. You haven't even hit middle age yet. Yeah, don't talk to me about. But it's the plain whack-a-mole for the rest of your life. It never goes away. And the last thing, ethically and morally, you do not want to put your patients or your team members who are also patients that have given you that information, or your family members that come and see you. You don't want to be responsible for them having to deal with this in perpetuity. It's not like a credit card that gets reissued. So a little bit of prevention now and starting to embrace that suck. Like, I have to use this phrase a lot because it does. It sucks. We know this. We acknowledge it. But embracing this little by little and just making small, simple changes, it really does help in every aspect of all the areas of safety, compliance, and regulation that we talk about.
Well, and like you mentioned earlier, this isn't because we have to do it. It's because it's what's best for the patient.
Yeah.
The patients deserve to have their data protected. The patients deserve to not have a temp come in who you don't really know with their data and something ends up happening and there be an issue and it costs them 16 years of their life trying to fix everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'll be more than 16 years. But I mean, even that, I've had to do certain things that it's time consuming, but little easy things, usually free, cheap, and easy. It goes a long way for protection. And, I'm not asking people to spend $1 million to protect your practice, but what would you reasonably do to start making sure that the practice is solvent when there's an issue? And what would you reasonably do to ensure that a former team member doesn't turn you in and start this snowball effect of all the other areas getting looked at and referred to other agencies to get looked at and other insurance companies to get looked at? And it just, be good people, do the right thing.
Well, and if you want to put it on a personal what's in it for me, your license, your practice, the millions of dollars of debt that you could potentially be in, the years you spent investing in training to be a dentist and own a practice, like all of that can evaporate overnight, at least in the case that you just shared with us, Rick.
That's horrifying. I
never
know
see that happen. And the patients that you could serve and the lives you could impact, patients, employees, whomever, don't ever get that because it doesn't realize because there were little mistakes that were made either by you or by somebody who wasn't trained on your team.
That's it. And it all comes down to that. Everything we talked about boils down to training the team on every front, on OSHA, on HIPAA, on this is our policies, on these are our procedures, on this is what we're doing, on how to get paid by insurance for the things you're already doing. Just invest in training. You
And
know,
not
it
that
used to
hospital
be.
level training. Make it dental, your
No.
job role. Make it specific to your practice. Just
Right.
like every patient, every practice is unique. And
Yeah.
those things change. You wanna change a vendor? Well, now your risk profile is very different. How you operate is different. How you train your team is different. And I would love to see practices take this more seriously. And again, I applaud the ones that do. I will go to the ends of the earth for people that are like, "I'm all in. Let's do this right." And it turns out those practices end up making more money.
They
and get to
do.
stick around longer.
Yeah,
They
because
do.
they're
Because
efficient.
that's the question. And this is the question I ask people all the time. I know, I know we're running out. We gotta land the
Oh, we're already
plane,
into
but
second episode territory here.
I know, but this is what I say all the time. If you're willing to break the rule on HIPAA training, what other rule are you willing to break? If you're willing to break the rule on misrepresenting a provider on a claim form, what other rule are you willing to break?
Well, and a lot of times we know it's not they're intentionally doing it. It's that they're misinformed, they don't know. They got told that this was okay. And here's the thing I say to that. The companies that are providing an in-the-box training that aren't customizing it and that in some way, according to the both of you, is a violation of HIPAA, correct? HIPAA or OSHA? Yeah. The companies that are providing an in-the-box training and saying they're making it easy for you, who wins at the end of the day? They do. They get to record one thing one time, put it up on their platform, and collect the dollars either every month or every time you purchase that training. They don't care that it's not really what you need for your practice. And I'm not saying this to disparage anybody. I assume some of them may not know. I don't know anybody who does it that way personally. But whenever you've got somebody who has this canned training, I say this from somebody who's a speaker who has, provided on-demand type trainings. Like the reason people do that is because then they don't have to do the work. They get to leverage the time that they spent recording that training and building that platform and whatever it is, so that you can continue to pay every month, and you don't have to ever, ask them questions or do anything. Like, they don't need to go and spend extra time with you. Who's really winning in that scenario?
Mm.
And why are they doing
Huh?
it that way?
And at the end of the day, they do it that way because they know when the hammer drops, it's not going to drop on them. It's going to drop on the practices that didn't do it the right way. But I was told, doesn't matter. If all your
I
friends jumped off a bridge, would you?
I couldn't sleep. I mean, just ethically and morally, I could not sleep knowing that I had done something like that. So, I mean, I would just say, this is not a sales pitch to anybody that's listening. Just do your due diligence. Same as I say with every other thing, vet your vendors, vet your vendors, vet your vendors, vet your vendors, vet your vendors. I say
And there
that
are a
a
lot
lot.
of great vendors out there and a lot of great
Yeah.
consultants that are doing this the right way. Find one of them. Doesn't have to
Yeah.
be us. Find one of them. But know that you have to, if you've listened to this podcast, you have no excuse now not to know that these are the things you're supposed to be doing in a custom fashion for your practice.
And it's just better overall. It works. Yeah.
All right. We are at the end
It
of our
does.
time. Thank you, Rick, for joining us and helping us keep our practices compliant AF.